Like all lacrosse players, former Durham Turfdogs captain Brandon Turner dreamt of playing in the National Lacrosse League. However, concussions have forced him to find a new role in the sport.
Most guys would probably tell you that have played contact sports, you couldn't even put a number on how many concussions you've had. The first time I had one playing lacrosse was like 2-3 years ago. I was playing with the Rochester Nighthawks at the time, and I'd received one in training camp, and then they had shut me down for 8 months. Was lucky not to have any more, and then I had 4 in the past 6 months, like 4 real good ones, and then the last one was a extra good one because I came back too soon from a concussion, and here I am now as a coach and not a player.
So you can think of a concussion kind of as a bruise to your brain. So the brain has moved around in the skull and hit either side or both sides of the bony skull, and there can be bleeding, and that bleeding can get worse over time after that initial hit. So that's why they always say, you want to monitor your symptoms for a period of time after your hit, because if there is a bleed, your brain is a small cavity, and if it fills up and the pressure gets larger, your symptoms are going to get worse, and potentially, if it's really bad, they could be life-threatening.
With increased awareness and more of an emphasis being placed on concussions in sports, the outlook and perception of lacrosse and head injuries is starting to change.
I think the perception of the guys that don't want to tell the trainer, I think that's changing now with the media attention to concussion, and people are more aware of how serious it is, and people aren't doing that as often. At least I find with the teams that I work with, the guys are more likely to come and talk to me when they're having problems, which is good and it's important.
I was going to ask them if I could just be like a water boy and just help out and be around with the boys, because I mean, some of these guys, we've only been playing together for 1 year, but some of them are some of my best friends now, and not being around them twice a week would be tough. So I was just going to ask to help out wherever I could, and then they asked me to be a coach. And I mean, the next best thing to being a player is being a coach. So I was floored, and I was honored that he asked me, and I definitely didn't expect it.
We said that the guy's such a team character guy, and a guy that is so important to the team in general, that we had to bring him along. And he expressed a little interest before, so we said, why don't we bring him along here and have him learn and grow as a coach.
I'd say probably 2 years ago, I had a really good one. I say good, it was a real bad concussion, and that's, you can't do anything for sometimes 2-3 weeks, but sit in a dark room and can't have the TV on. It weighs on you very much, and especially like you say, you're thrown into this athlete role as a kid, and it's all you know how to do, and it's all you know how to be is this tough athlete, this aggressive athlete. And when you're so vulnerable that I couldn't pick up my lacrosse stick and pick up a ball because my motor skills were so off, it just crushes you. Everything's been kind of thrust into the media and the spotlight with, like you say, all the football players and the wrestlers and all the books and all the movies that have come out. And I mean, you can't get away from it. And I let myself get completely immersed in it. And once I had to stop playing, it just tore me apart.
I mean, in the past, the biggest problem has been everybody wants to be, especially in a sport like lacrosse, is it's a tough man's game. So guys want to tough it out. You're not tough if you have to sit out even a month, maybe a couple months, even perhaps a season because of a concussion. But now with the awareness that's getting out there, nobody's going to feel disrespected if you have to sit out perhaps a season for a concussion and save your career.
There's a movie out there called Head Games that it basically just spins off of the book that was written by Christopher Nowitzki, who was a retired wrestler / football player. He's the one that really kind of spearheaded everything at Boston University with looking for CTE and figuring everything out. In the movie, they say 95 or 97% of the brains that they check from the football players that are donated have CTE.
Scientists at UCLA claim to have found the holy grail of brain research. They can now detect a disease known as CTE in living patients and not just through autopsies.
For them to be able to find it in living people, that's huge. That will save who knows how many lives. So I do think that it will change how everything is looked at in sports in terms of how everything's played and how the rules are looked at, and even how everything is diagnosed. There's still countless people, I'm sure, that the trainers they whisper in the guy's ear, "Are you okay? Do you need me to really take you to the dark room?" And players, "No, don't do that, don't do that." And they still they let that guy go out there and play when really he should be going to the dark room and getting tested and getting checked out. I mean, especially now, like it's kind of like it's not even 6 months after one tragedy, there's another tragedy, whether it's hockey players or football players. So, I mean, I know lacrosse isn't in the spotlight, but there's a lot of contact in lacrosse and a lot of head contact. So I'm sure, I mean, they fly under the radar because they're lacrosse players, but I'm one of countless guys that are dealing with whatever I'm going through.
I've tried to put some more awareness out there for it and make sure that there aren't any more Brandon Turners, to make sure that the guys that really have a lot of potential in the game get to realize that potential instead of having their careers ended early by something that they could have prevented.
If I knew 4 years ago what I know now, honestly, I probably would have stopped playing then.
Brandon is making the most of his transition from player to coach, and his National Lacrosse League dreams haven't been dashed just yet.
I'd love to be a head coach, obviously. Every assistant coach would like to be a head coach, and I'd love to coach the NLL. That's at the highest level, and guys wait 20, 25 years to even get a chance to be an assistant coach on a pro team. And here I am, not even 3 months after stopping playing. I'm assistant coach on a semi-pro team, and I mean, the sky's the limit at this point in my eyes.